Now, vectors are not only used to define forces, they can also define the position of a point relative to another point, and that's going to be useful in some instances in statics. So in this video, we're going to look at the concept of a position vector. So when we look at these position vectors, remember that the main idea is this defines the position of a point relative to another point. Alright, so that's the main idea. So what do I mean by that? Let's say that we have one point A right here. We have a point B somewhere in here. And if I define this vector, look, that is going from B to A, I'm gonna call that my position vector. It's an R from B to A. That's the order of those letters are important. So this is the from, and this is the to. Right, so it's from B to A. And that's describing that position of A relative to A, right? So this is the position of A relative to B. All right. Now, some cases what we're gonna see is we're gonna have some axis. We're gonna have an X, Y, Z axis, and we just want to define the position of a point relative to the axis. So it will be actually relative to the origin that we're gonna do those vectors. So for example, let's say that I have my axis let's do this in 2D first. So I have y-axis. This is my x-axis. And let's say that I have a point somewhere in here that is point A. So my position vector RA is going to be from the origin to A. So this is R. Okay. Position vector defining the position of A relative to the origin, so the xy equal to 0, right? Now if I have another vector, let's say vector B somewhere here, or another point B, the vector RB is going to be that. It's going to be the RB. And if I want to define the position, let's say the position of A relative to B, so that will be this vector over here. This is my vector of A relative to B, right? It's going to be something like that. Now, if we follow the heads to tail rule, what we're going to see is that RB plus RBA is equal to RA, right? So we can say that this RB plus RBA is equal to RA. Now, if I want to calculate RBA, what I do is just solve for it, right? So basically my RBA is going to be RA minus RB. And that's the way that we can easily find the position vector between 2 points. The way that I like to think about it is I take, this is RA is the vector that defines the position of the place where the head of the vector is, right, RA, minus the vector that defines the point on the tail of the vector. So this defines the point on the head of the vector. This is defining the vector on the tail. Point that defines the tail of that vector.